Geek Vibes Live is rated G for geek.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Geek Vibes Interview brought to you by Geek Vibes Nation. I'm your host, Don Fisher, and I have with me two siblings that maybe want to work harder. They have a list of accolades and job titles that include film director, producer, along with CEO, which is crazy. Here to talk about the film Superman, the Christopher Reeve Story. I have with me Matthew Reeve and Alexandra Reeve Gibbons. How are you guys doing?
Thanks for having us. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And Will was supposed to be here, but I guess, you got to work sometimes.
Yeah, he has to go to work, and it's a shame because he's the young, funny, charming one. And but we'll try to do him, honor him and do him justice here.
So I got a chance to screen the film maybe 2 weeks ago, and I didn't know a lot. I'm kind of young. I'm 36. So the extent that I knew about your father was he's Superman, right? And a lot of kids, when they're growing up, they say, "Oh, my dad is like Superman. My dad is Superman." But your dad was Superman, right? So what is that like growing up? Is there like, do you realize like how big that your father is at the time, or is it just like, oh, that's dad?
Yeah, I mean, to most certainly he was just dad, but he also was a Superman as a dad. I mean, that was kind of the thing. We were so lucky. Like we were young and before the accident. Our dad was an actor and he was known for his movies, and we'd be in the playground and kids would recognize him, and and things like that would happen. But he also was a pilot, and he'd fly us around in this little plane, and he would, we would sail through like storms, and we would go play all sorts of sports and do games. There's just a lot of activities, and he was just taking us around doing fun stuff. So he was like a Superman in a way that everyone sort of sees their dad as a Superman. He just happened to sort of play this role. He also played a lot of roles that when we were kids we weren't allowed to watch these movies. I mean, he did movies like Death Trap with Michael Caine. I think Monsignor was a bit violent.
Super bad guy in that, I think. We've still never seen it. Like we are, we are grown adults, and we still do not watch these films because we were told not to watch them when we were kids because he's a bad guy in them.
It's like sometimes things would like pop on TV, and like he's just there. Like we watch. No, you can't watch this one. And yeah, so of course, he played that role, and he played it really, really well, and the movie was huge, and I'm a bit older than you, and certainly like my friends at school and my peer group knew it and knew him, and that was definitely that was just made a cool guy even cooler, basically. Right.
I do think what's funny to know, like, we did not grow up in Hollywood, though. Like, we meet a lot of people now who think that we had a particularly glamorous upbringing. We definitely still had to do homework and eat vegetables. We consciously did not live in California. We, a New York family, lived in the city for a long time, and then in the outskirts of New York. And so it was like this funny combination of him being a larger-than-life figure that people connected to, but also being a super normal dad at home, too.
I mean, you see in the whole movie footage, he's there in like a raggedy T-shirt with holes in it, and his hair's a mess.
Dad socks. That's not such bad dad socks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really what I got out of it, is how much of like, we get kind of caught up in celebrity and things like that, but he was trying his best as much as possible to be a regular guy. I want to go do things. I want to stay out of the spotlight because that's scary. And I have a family. And I think, and you can kind of speak more to this, but, there's, like every person, there's the good moments, there's the bad moments. And was there a conscious effort in making sure you showed him as a complete person in this documentary?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Matthew. Siblings fighting on the radio.
It's totally at the same time. No, you're so much more eloquent than I, but just say that, yes, absolutely. I mean, we wanted this from the the beginning to be a full, honest, 360-degree sort of portrait of our dad and who he was, and not this sugar-coated puff piece that elevated him on a pedestal and just sort of showed only the good side. So that was a very early conscious decision. And we, but we were not also, and part of that was also stepping back, right? So we gave our archive material and our family movies to the filmmaking team, and we agreed to do interviews, and we agreed amongst ourselves that in those interviews we would be completely honest and raw and open and tell the stories we hadn't told and share the memories we'd never shared before and give them us. And then we stepped back and we said, you go make the film, so that it did have that third-party objective perspective and sort of did get that honest look at who he was. And I think the film is all the better for that. And I think that's what, makes it special. We also were pretty eager not to have it just be a linear chronological story where he was born here and then discovered acting and then became Superman, but we challenged the filmmakers. And I've directed things in the past, and like I had no idea how to solve this, and I said, I'm so glad I'm not making this film, that this is your problem. You have to somehow figure out a way to kind of jump back and forth before and after the accident, and not make this a film of two halves. And they found this incredible way to do it and use this sort of thematic tissue to connect these moments and feelings that the audience experiences sort of before and after the accident, that leaves this incredibly well-crafted, woven whole story that's told very cinematically and beautifully. Sorry, did you have anything to add, Alexandra?
I was going to say, something that has been unexpected but really beautiful through the process of people seeing this film is how many people are connecting to this story because of elements of their own life. And I think if it had just been like a high-level, glossy story, that's like a story of like being a famous actor and then being an icon that people knew around the world. The stuff people connect to is when they realize, like, it was really hard to get up sometime in the morning. Like, it was hard. And that actually makes it all the more powerful that he got up anyway, and he went to work and did what he needed to do. They tell the story of our mom, Gay Exton, and our dad's separation. And they managed to do that in this way that, like, honors the fact that that was a 10-year relationship from before our dad was famous to, like, the height of his fame. And that he was so disappointed in himself for having a broken marriage when he himself was the child of a broken marriage. But then this redemption of finding another beautiful love story with Dana, who came into our lives when I was 3 and Matthew was 7, and became like a second mom to us with like a beautiful story. And the world needs stories like that, to know that you can have really low moments and like not be that great in a relationship, and then you can find your way to redemption and still be a parent who is committed to your kids through that entire journey. And so I love that the filmmakers told that story in that way, because I think there are a lot of lessons to learn from it, even as people, totally apart from the fact that this happens to be the Christopher Reeve story that's illustrating those themes.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that part of the story too, because I'm a stepfather, and the step parents don't get a lot of love, in television.
They don't.
And
I know, exactly.
And I'm not a person that tends to cry in public. So I cried in the car. It got me in the feels. But like with seeing how much your father, like, he kind of changed the way people see celebrity, changed the way like that superhero movies are now the biggest thing, and it's kind of, he is the archetype of this. How do you kind of follow that legacy? How do you build upon that legacy, should I say?
I mean, it's, I think in terms of that legacy from the role as Superman, it's really just, again, I think doing something like this documentary where we were able to, contribute to helping his story be introduced to a whole generation who don't know that, or don't know him. Or reintroduce him to people who do remember the film, but might not remember all of his story, or might not know certain details and things. And so hopefully they can come away with a clearer understanding of exactly who Christopher Reeve was, and what he went through and what that journey was. So I think that's how we do that for sort of his acting roles and for things like that. And then after the accident, I mean, in terms of how we carry on his legacy, we're both heavily involved in the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, and that's a massive part of his overall legacy too. And it's an honor to be able to be a part of that. And the foundation, since it does around over time, has given $145 million to spinal cord injury research. It runs the nation's National Resource Center, the 1-800 number for information for people who are either newly injured or living with paralysis, where they can find out anything they want to know or just talk to someone who's in the same situation and get support and advice. So there's really kind of two ways that we're able to do that, and we're both extremely lucky and privileged to be able to help carry that mantle and keep his legacy alive. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Go away.
Lastly, with there being such him being such an activist, along with you, both of you also kind of stepping into those same shoes in advocacy and things of that sort. How do you hope the Reeve name is thought of and defined when people hear it? Whether it's yourselves, your mother, your brothers, how do you hope that people think about you?
I love that people connect him with the legacy of Superman and that they related so much to that character. But the real pride for me is in people connecting to his story after the accident. There's this line in the movie which is comes from our dad's book, and it's something that you would reflect on a lot, of what does it mean to be a hero, and that you don't have to be wearing a cape to be a hero. A hero is someone who perseveres in spite of overwhelming obstacles. And I just think that message is so important in the world today. How you show up for your family, how you show up for your friends, what it means to be strong is really to persevere when things are hard and to keep going. And we're at a time as a society where we need to be looking out for each other. We need to find those moments of strength. And so to the extent people listen to that and they connect with that message, they reflect on their own strength and what it means to contribute to the world and hopefully give back more than you take. That's a legacy, and I'm happy if people connect in that way.
That's deep.
Also, there is no S. That's the other one. No.
You want people to learn that.
Reeve, no S.
This is the moment. It's going to finally happen. No S on Reeves.
I appreciate your time. Look, I don't say this because you're in front of me, but this is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. When not only because of what takes place, but because I was able to feel, and also I did want to be a better person after I watched this. Like, as I'm watching, I'm like, I need to do more. Like, I thought I was doing enough. Maybe I'm not. Like, I need to go out and do some more things.
Too, don't worry.
And then after reading up on you guys, I'm like, okay, I gotta get involved somehow. And I think that's important when something can get you to that point that makes you want to be a better person. It elevates the media that much more. So I appreciate both of you, your family, for bearing it all for us to witness and refine that love in ourselves and other people. So thank you.
It's beautifully put. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the film gets a wide release, if I'm correct, October 11th now.
That's right.
So please, everyone, go see Superman, the Christopher Reeve Story, and we'll talk again sometime.
Better person. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.